Hello students, welcome back to Career Power Hyderabad powered by Adda 24/7. So students, today we'll see this section wise revision, weekly revision of September part 3. So please be patient of 1.5 hour. This session will be nearly almost 1.5 hour. So today we'll discuss section wise every current affair in the form of national news, international news, state news, all current affairs of the past week we'll discuss in section wise. So this will be very helpful for all your bank, SSC, RRB examinations. So please subscribe our YouTube channel, like and share our videos, join our Telegram channel and download the Career Power Hyderabad app. We'll provide the links in the description as well as comment section. So let us see the first section for today, national news. We'll see the first question for today. So we have almost 6 questions in this section of national news. So the first question is, Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi has inaugurated the Sardar Dham Bhavan in which of the following city? So Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi has inaugurated the Sardar Dham Bhavan in which of the following city? The answer is Ahmedabad. So in Ahmedabad, in Gujarat, so PM Modi has inaugurated the Sardar Dham Bhavan. Okay, so he performed the Bhumi Puja of this Sardar Dham Girls Hostel project. So these establishments were dedicated to the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So this project is developed by the Vishwa Patidar Samaj. Okay, so this Sardar Dham Bhavan, it provides separate hostel facilities for girls and boys from rural areas who aspire for better career prospects. So phase 1 project of this Sardar Dham Bhavan will be built over 11,000 square feet with a cost of nearly 200 crores near the Vaishnav Devi Circle in Ahmedabad Gandhinagar border area. So it will house nearly 1600 students including 800 boys and 800 girls. Okay, so this was the phase 1 project which was already constructed. So now we will have phase 2 project, so which is expected to house nearly 2000 girl students. So this project is also at a cost of 200 crores. Okay, so the new Chief Minister of Gujarat, Bhupendra Bhai Patel, and Governor of Gujarat, Acharya Devvrat. So do remember these static points. Now coming into next question, India's largest open air fernery has been inaugurated in which place? So India's largest open air fernery. So like nursery, this is fernery. So which has ferns, okay, which they nurse all the ferns in the country. So it is established at Ranikhet in Uttarakhand. So India's largest open air fernery was inaugurated in Ranikhet, Uttarakhand. So this has dual purpose like the conservation of fern species and to create awareness about their ecological role and to promote further research. Okay, so ferns. Okay, so this is a home to large number of fern species which are very endemic to the state, and some has a lot of medicinal value and some are threatened species. So the largest collection of fern species is present in the Jawaharlal Nehru Tropical Botanical Garden and Research Institute, which is present in Trivandrum, and this is the second largest collection of fern species. Okay, and it is the country's first open air fernery in natural surroundings, which is not any poly house or shade house. So whereas in Trivandrum it is a poly house, but here it is an open air natural surrounding fern house. Okay, so that is why it is very, very important. So this Ranikhet fernery will have around near 120 types of ferns which will spread across 4 acres of land and at an altitude of 1800 meters. So this project is developed under the CAMPA scheme, Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority, and also by the Uttarakhand Forest Department over a period of 3 years. So Uttarakhand new governor Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh and Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhammi. So please remember static points. Now coming into next question. So a campaign titled Shunya has been launched by which organization? So this campaign was launched by Niti Aayog, National Institute of Transforming India Aayog. So Niti Aayog in collaboration with the Rocky Mountain Institute and Rocky Mountain Institute India. So all these 3 people, they launched this campaign Shunya to promote zero pollution delivery vehicles by working with consumers and the industry. So this campaign will promote the adoption of EVs, electric vehicles in the urban delivery segment, and also to create consumer awareness about health, environmental, economic benefits of the EVs, electric vehicles. Okay, so as a part of this campaign, so corporate branding and certification program will be launched to recognize and promote the industry efforts towards transitioning to EVs for final mile deliveries. So an online tracking platform to share the campaign's impact through data is also being launched. Okay, so these are all the details about this program. So let us discuss about the RMI Institute. So it is an organization of United States dedicated mainly for research, publication, consulting and lecturing in the field of sustainability and a special focus on profitable innovations for energy and resource efficiency. So established in 1982, headquarters in Basalt, Colorado State, USA. RMI India is established in 2019 and headquarters in New Delhi. This is very important about Niti Aayog, formed in 2015 January 1st, headquarters New Delhi, chairperson Modi and Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, and the CEO is Amitabh Kant, the Vice Chairperson is Rajiv Kumar. So please remember these points, very important. Next question. Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, they declared which of the following airport as customs notified airport. So which of the following was recently named as customs notified airport? The answer is Kushinagar. So Kushinagar Airport in Bihar was named the customs notified airport by the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. So this would facilitate international passenger movements including Buddhist pilgrims. So Kushinagar Airport is currently spread across area of 600 acres. Okay. So earlier in February, the Director General of Civil Aviation, they granted license to operate international flights. So this license is to be expired in August. So till February 21, 2023, this license was extended recently by DGCA, and now the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, they declared it as the customs notified airport. So this will help for the smooth transition to be an international airport. So CBIC chairperson Ajit Kumar and established in 1962, remember. Now next question, PM Modi has launched a TV. By merging both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha TV, they created a new TV and PM Modi has launched this TV. What is the name of the TV? The name of the TV is Sansad TV. So PM Modi along with the Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, so all the three dignitaries, they launched this Sansad TV by merging the Lok Sabha TV and Rajya Sabha TV. So Sansad TV will be on touch upon the functioning of Parliament, the democratic institutions, governance and implementation of various schemes and policies, history and culture of India and issues of interest to common man. So all these programs will be telecasted in this particular TV. Okay. So please remember, very important. The next question and the last question. What is the new foreign direct investment limit approved by Union Cabinet in the telecom sector? So what is the new FDI approved in the telecom sector? The answer is 100%. So 100% FDI is now approved in telecom sector. Okay. So Union Cabinet, they took some important decisions. So they brought some structural and procedure reforms in telecom sector, mainly to provide relief to the ailing telecom service providers who are struggling with high levels of debt. So total 9 structural and 5 process reforms were approved by Union Cabinet, and the new Minister for Communications IT is Ashwini Vaishnaw, very important, remember, is also the Minister of Railways. So in these reforms, one is important, that is foreign direct investment. So government has increased the foreign direct investment in telecom sector under automated route from 49% to 100%. Okay, they also provided this relief package which is going to protect and generate employment opportunities, promote healthy competition, protect the interest of consumers, infuse liquidity, encourage the investment and reduce the regulatory burden on the telecom service providers. So these are all the things related to telecom sector. Okay, very important, please try to remember. Next, coming into international news. Okay, so we also have here 2 important questions in the international news. So first question for today. So Aziz Akhannouch, so he has been appointed as the new Prime Minister of which of the following country? So Aziz Akhannouch has been appointed as the new Prime Minister of which of the following country? The answer is Morocco. So Aziz Akhannouch is the new Prime Minister of Morocco. So he was appointed by the King of Morocco, Mohammed. Okay, so Aziz party, National Rally of Independence Party, they secured nearly 102 seats out of the 395 seats in the parliamentary election. So that is why he was appointed as the new Prime Minister. Earlier he worked as Minister of Agriculture. Now he is the Prime Minister of Morocco. So Morocco capital Rabat, Morocco currency Moroccan dirham. Okay, so please remember. Next question and the last question in this section. Australia has partnered with which countries to develop nuclear powered submarines? So Australia is partnering with which countries to develop nuclear powered submarines? The answer is United Kingdom and USA. So Australia is partnering with the United Kingdom and USA to develop nuclear powered submarines. So United States, United Kingdom, Australia, all the three countries, they launched this new partnership called AUKUS. So it's a trilateral security partnership mainly for the Indo-Pacific region. So this trilateral grouping was announced by British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, and US President Joe Biden. Okay, so with a vision for safer and more secure Indo-Pacific, this AUKUS new trilateral grouping was formed. The first project is to help Australia acquire a nuclear-powered conventional armed submarine fleet. So they will also involve in new architecture of meetings and engagement between these three countries, as well as cooperation among emerging technologies like the artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, undersea capabilities. Okay, so please remember this table is very, very important. Australia capital Canberra, Australia currency Australian dollar, US capital Washington, US currency US dollar, UK capital London, and UK currency pound. Very, very important. Remember these points. Next we will see state news. We have 6 important state news. First one, who is the new Chief Minister of Gujarat? You know the answer, it is Bhupendra Bhai Patel. So Bhupendra Bhai Patel is chosen as the new Chief Minister of Gujarat. So after the resignation of the earlier Chief Minister Vijay Rupani. So BJP MLA, so this BJP MLA Bhupendra Patel, so he belongs to Gatalo Dia assembly seat, which is present in the suburban regions of Ahmedabad. So Bhupendra Patel is a diploma holder in civil engineering. So he held a lot of positions in the Patidar Trust and organizations, including the Sardar Dham World Umayya Foundation, and also he is the standing committee chairman in the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, chairman of the Ahmedabad Urban Development Authority. So these were all the earlier positions held by Bhupendra Patel. So Gujarat Governor, please remember Acharya Devvrat. Next question, which state has launched a millet mission to become the hub of millets in India? So which state has launched this millet mission? The answer is Chhattisgarh. So Chhattisgarh has launched this millet mission. So Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel, he announced the launch of millet mission to provide proper price rates for farmers for this myriad cereal crops, and also the Chief Minister vision to make the state as a India's millet hub. Okay, so an MOU was signed between the Indian Institute of Millet Research Hyderabad as well as all the collectors of the 14 districts of the Chhattisgarh state. So what are the important benefits on this millet mission are? They will provide input assistance for millet procurement, aid to farmers in processing these crops, and ensure that farmers get the benefit of expertise of the experts. Okay, so Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel, Chhattisgarh Governor Anusuya Uki. So do remember these points. Next question, which of the following state has achieved the top position in installation of off-grid solar pumps under PM Kusum scheme? So which state has topped in the installation of off-grid solar pumps under PM Kusum scheme? The answer is Haryana. So Haryana state government has stopped under the Pradhan Mantri Kishan Urja Suraksha Evam Uttam Mahabhiyan Kusum scheme as per the Union Minister of Renewable and New Energies, okay, New and Renewable Energy Ministry data. So Haryana topped the entire scheme. So Haryana installed 14,418 pumps out of 15,000 pumps which were sanctioned to them. Okay, so Haryana has a target of providing 15,000 pumps for the year 2021 with a total cost of 520 rupees. So this is a centrally sponsored scheme, this PM Kusum scheme, launched in 2019 mainly to target of installing nearly 20 lakh standalone solar pumps. So under this scheme, farmer need to bear 40% of the pump cost. Central and state government will bear 60% of the pump cost, which has a capacity of 10 HP. But in the state of Haryana, they are reducing the farmer share to 25%. That means additional 15% is on the state government. So farmer need to pay 25%, rest is taken over by central and state governments. So Haryana Governor Bandaru Dattatreya, Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar. So remember these points, very, very important. Next question, Nuakhai. Nuakhai is a harvest festival celebrated in which state? So Nuakhai is a harvest festival celebrated in the state of Odisha. Okay, so it's an agrarian festival mainly in the western Odisha region, celebrated in the western Odisha region. So it is celebrated one day after the celebration of Ganesh Chaturthi. So it's a crop festival celebrated mainly in the parts of western Odisha and southern Chhattisgarh to welcome the new rice of the season. Okay, so Nua means new, Kai means food. So the festival is to celebrate the newly harvested food by the farmers. So remember it. So Chief Minister Odisha Naveen Patnaik, Governor Odisha Ganesh Lal. Next question, Which Indian state has recently launched the initiative Medicine from the Sky to use drones for delivering vaccines and drugs? So which state it is? The answer is Telangana. So Telangana government has launched this program called Medicine from the Sky. Okay. So the Civil Aviation Minister, Union Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia, he launched the first of its kind Medicine from Sky project in Telangana. The project is aimed for transporting vaccines and other essential products to remote areas using drones. Okay, so this project is taken up in as a pilot basis in 16 green zones in Telangana. Later will be scaled up to the entire national level based on the data from Telangana. So data will be analyzed for 3 months. So Health Ministry, IT Ministry, State Government and Central Government, all of them are together analyzing the data and they are trying to make a model for the entire country. Okay, so Telangana Governor Tamilisai Sundararajan, Chief Minister of Telangana K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Remember these points. Next question, India's 61st Software Technology Park Center was opened in which state? So 61st Software Technology Park was opened in Nagaland. Okay, so Nagaland first and India's 61st Software Technology Park of India was inaugurated at Kohima. Okay, so this is mainly PM Modi's vision to create a technology ecosystem in Northeast to create employment opportunities for further generations in the region. Okay, so that is why this Software Technology Park was launched. So Nagaland Chief Minister Neiphiu Rio and Governor of Nagaland additional charge Jagadish Mukhi. So R.N. Ravi, who was the earlier governor of this state, he was transferred. So now Governor additional charge is given to Jagadish Mukhi, who is the Chief Minister of Assam. Okay, so what is the Software Technology Park? So it's an autonomous society under the Ministry of Electronics and IT. So they are established in 1991 mainly with an objective of encouraging, promoting and boosting the export of software from India. Okay, so please remember. Next we will see appointments. This section appointments, we have 8 important appointments. There are a lot of appointments this week. So let us see. Excuse me. Let us see the appointments. Who has been appointed as the Vice Chairman of Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti by the center? So who was appointed as the Vice Chairman of Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti? The answer is Vijay Goyal. So Vijay Goyal, former Union Minister, he was appointed as the Vice Chairman of Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti, so which are located in New Delhi. So this Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti is nothing but it's the site of Marachudam of the Mahatma Gandhi, who is the father of the nation. So this Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti were established in 1984 as an autonomous body. So they function under the constructive advice and financial support from Ministry of Culture, and PM, Prime Minister, is the chairman and Vice Chairman will be appointed by the government. So what is the objective of the Samiti? To promote the life, mission and thought of Gandhi through various social, educational and cultural programs. Okay, so that is the main objective of this Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti. So who is appointed as the new CEO of Yahoo? So who is the new CEO of Yahoo? The answer is Jim Lanzone. So Jim Lanzone is the new CEO of Yahoo. Okay, so Jim Lanzone, earlier he worked as the CEO of Tinder. So he will replace Guru Gaurappan as the CEO of Yahoo. So for Tinder, Renata Nubadi. So he is the new CEO of Tinder. And now for Yahoo, the new CEO is Jim Lanzone. Okay, so please remember, very, very important. Yahoo was established in 1994 and headquarters is in California. So next question, which of the following MNC has recently appointed Pratibha Mohapatra as the Vice President and Managing Director for India? So which MNC has appointed Pratibha Mohapatra? The answer is Adobe. So Adobe has appointed Pratibha Mohapatra as the VP, Vice President and Managing Director for India. So with this Pratibha Mohapatra's appointment, she will lead the Adobe's India business across the Adobe's Experience Cloud, Creative Cloud and Document Cloud. So Mohapatra has 25 years of experience in the technology industry. She joined Adobe from the tech firm IBM. So she worked for IBM as Vice President Digital Sales for Asia Pacific, and also she led the IBM sales in India and South Asia, where she was responsible for driving revenue for the country's portfolios. She was very successful there. So that is why she was taken into Adobe. So Adobe established in 1982, headquarters in California. Okay, so please remember, very very important. So next, who is the new acting chairperson of National Company Law Appellate Tribunal? So who is the new acting chairperson of National Company Law Appellate Tribunal? The answer is Justice M. Venugopal. So Justice M. Venugopal is the new acting chairperson of Appellate Tribunal, which is the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. So earlier he is a judge of High Court of Madras. So this is third time you are getting an acting chairperson of the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal after the retirement of permanent chairman Justice S.J. Mukhopadhyaya. So in 2020 Justice S.J. Mukhopadhyaya retired. From then onwards we have acting chairpersons only. So it was first Bansilal Bhatt, then it was AIS Shima, now it is Venugopal who are the acting chairpersons. Now let us discuss about National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. So it is constituted under the section 410 of Companies Act 2013, mainly to hear appeals against the orders of the National Company Law Tribunals. So under Appellate Tribunal there will be Company Law Tribunal. So please remember, under Appellate Tribunal there will be Company Law Tribunals, like under Supreme Court there will be High Court. Same pattern you will have under Appellate Tribunal, you will have Law Tribunals. Okay. So the tribunal is mainly responsible for hearing the orders of the company law tribunals. Okay, they will also hear appeals under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, and also orders passed by the Competition Commission of India. Okay, so try to remember these points. Next question, who is the chairperson of INSPACe, India National Space Promotion Authorization Center? INSPACe. So who is the new chairperson of INSPACe? The answer is Pawan Kumar Goenka. So Pawan Kumar Goenka is the new chairperson of INSPACe. So he is a former managing director of Mahindra & Mahindra. So he was appointed as the chairperson of INSPACe. Okay. So he belongs to IIT. He is associated mainly with two automobile companies, General Motors and Mahindra & Mahindra. So where he has nearly 4 decades of experience in automobile sector. So during his tenure in Mahindra, he developed Scorpio SUV. Okay, so he led to the development of Scorpio SUV. So he retired as MD of the company. Okay, after spending 27 years in Mahindra Group. So now he will be the chairperson of INSPACe. So INSPACe, it functions as an independent nodal agency under the Department of Space. Mainly it is established as a single window nodal agency with its own cadre, which will permit and oversee the activities of private companies in space sector. So it is mainly to oversee the private companies in space sector. This particular INSPACe was launched by government. Okay. So next question, former Supreme Court judge who was appointed as the new ombudsman cum ethics officer of the Delhi and Districts Cricket Association. So who is the new ombudsman and ethics officer of the Delhi and Districts Cricket Association? The answer is Indu Malhotra. So former Supreme Court Judge Indu Malhotra will be the ombudsman and ethics officer of Delhi and Districts Cricket Association. Okay, so this board is headed by the president Rohan Jaitley. So they approved this particular appointment. Okay, so let us discuss about Indu Malhotra. So in 2007 she was designated the senior advocate of Supreme Court, and also the second woman to be designated by Apex Court after a gap of 3 decades. She served as a legal counsel in the Supreme Court for 30 years, then unanimously recommended as the judge of Supreme Court, and now she is the DDCA Ombudsman cum Ethics Officer. So this DDCA was established in 1883 and headquarters is in New Delhi. Okay. So next question, Amit Saxena, Global Deputy CTO of which bank was recently appointed as CTO, Chief Technological Officer of RBI's Innovation Hub. So Amit Saxena belongs to which bank? The answer is SBI, State Bank of India. So State Bank of India, Amit Saxena, who is the Global Deputy CTO, Chief Technology Officer. Okay, so he joined RBI Innovation Hub. Okay, so RBI announced this Innovation Hub to promote innovation across the financial sector by leveraging on technology and creating an environment to facilitate and foster innovation. So this RBI Innovation Hub shall create an ecosystem that will focus on promoting access to financial services and products. They will mainly promote financial inclusion. The hub will collaborate with financial sector institutions, technology industry, academic institutions, and coordinate efforts for exchange of ideas and development of prototypes related to the financial innovations. Okay, so please remember, it will also develop internal infrastructure to promote fintech research and facilitate engagement with the innovators and startups. So RBI established in 1935, headquarters Mumbai, and you know the governor Shaktikanta Das. Remember all these points. Next question, okay, and the final question of this section: who was appointed as the CMD, Chairman and Managing Director of the National Small Industries Corporation Limited? Okay, so who is the new Chairman and Managing Director of National Small Industries Corporation Limited? The answer is Alka Nangai Arora. So Alka Nangai Arora is the new Chairman and Managing Director of National Small Industries Corporation Limited. So she is currently working as Joint Secretary in the Ministry of MSME, Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises. She will be given the additional charge as the CMD of NSIC. Okay, so this NSIC is a mini Ratna company established in 1955 to promote and develop micro and small scale industries and enterprises in the country. So it falls under the Ministry of MSME, and it serves as a nodal agency for different schemes of MSME like the performance and credit rating, single point registration, MSME, data bank, national SCST hub. For all these things, this particular NSIC will be the nodal agency. So NSIC headquarters, New Delhi. Okay, so we'll see schemes. We hardly have only just 3 schemes and committees. Let us see the schemes. So how much amount was allocated to the PLA scheme for automobile sector by the Union Cabinet? So how much amount has been allocated to PLA, Production Linked Incentive Scheme of the automobile sector by the Union Cabinet? The answer is 26,058 crores. So 26,058 crores was the amount allocated to the Production Linked Incentive Scheme for the automobile sector and the drone industry. Okay, so Union Cabinet has approved this PLI scheme for auto components, drone industries to enhance the India's manufacturing abilities. So PLI scheme will incentivize the emergence of advanced automotive technologies, global supply chain in India. Okay, so total 26,058 crores will be provided to the industry over 5 years. Of this total 26,058 crores, 25,938 crores are sanctioned to automobile industry. 120 crores are provided to drone industry. So please remember this point, very important. Okay, so this PLA scheme is a part of the overall scheme, okay, which was announced for 13 sectors earlier in the union budget with a total outlay of 1.97 lakh crore. So scheme will envisage overcoming the cost disabilities in the industry and also manufacture of advanced automotive technology products in India. Okay, so this is very important scheme. So please remember, 25,938 for automobile, 120 for drone, total 26,058 crores. Okay, very important, remember, because next question is about that, the same thing. So what amount has been sanctioned by the government under PLI scheme to drone industry? So for drone industry, how much amount was given? It is 120 crores. So for PLI scheme, how much amount was, for drone industry, how much amount was given? 120 crores. So 120 crores was given to the drone industry. Okay, so please remember, same question. So next question. So which state has launched, or which union territory has launched one Gram Panchayat, one Dizzy Pay Sakhi mission to promote financial services in rural areas? So which state or union territory has launched this one Gram Panchayat, one Dizzy Pay Sakhi mission to promote financial services in rural areas? The answer is Jammu and Kashmir. So Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory, the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Manoj Sinha, so he launched this mission, one Gram Panchayat, one Dizzy Pay Sakhi initiative. Okay, so this mission was launched by the Jammu and Kashmir Entrepreneurship Development Institute, which is present in Pampore. Okay, so this Dizzy Pay Sakhi was introduced to provide financial inclusion among the self-help groups in the Union Territory, to provide financial access points, greater transparency in the remotest of the areas. So initially it will provide facility in the 2000 remote villages of the Union Territory. First phase, 80 women from self-help groups were selected as Dizzy Pay Sakhis, and Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha is distributed 80 other enabled payment systems among these DigiPay Sakhis under the Jammu and Kashmir Rural Livelihood Mission. Okay, so he also inaugurated a week-long training program for Krishi Sakhis and Pasu Sakhis on sustainable agriculture and livestock management. So terming the social and economic independence of Nari Shakti, women empowerment, as the bedrock of any nation's progress. So this was the agenda of the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Manoj Sinha. So please remember. Next, we'll see summits and conferences. So we have 5 important summits, very important summits, very important, please remember. So India recently undertook its maiden 2+2 ministerial dialogue with which of the following countries? So India undertook 2+2 ministerial dialogue with which of the following countries? The answer is Australia. The answer is Australia. Okay, so India and Australia, now they are undertaking this first ever 2+2 dialogue, which happened in New Delhi in the Hyderabad House. So it's a high level foreign and defense minister level dialogue, which will further ramp up the overall defense and strategic cooperation among the countries, okay, including the Indo-Pacific cooperation amid the increasing China's military presence in the region. So from Indian side, Indian delegation, it was External Affairs Minister Jaishankar and Defense Minister Rajnath Singh participated, and from Australian side, it was Maris Payne and Peter Dutton. So both of them participated from the Australian side. So Maris Payne is the External Affairs Minister of Australia and Peter Dutton is the Defense Minister of Australia. So both of them participated from Australia side. So it's a 2+2 ministerial level meetings, okay, which India has launched with Australia, and earlier India had with USA and Japan. So with very few countries we have this 2+2 ministerial level meetings, okay. Australia capital Canberra and Australia currency Australian dollar. So next question, India launched a climate action and finance mobilization dialogue. So with which country? So India launched this climate action and finance mobilization dialogue with which country? The answer is United States. So with United States, India has launched this climate action and finance mobilization dialogue. So this will strengthen the India-US bilateral cooperation on the climate and environment. So this dialogue was launched by the Union Minister for Environment Bhupendra Yadav, and from America, John Kerry, who is a US Special Presidential Envoy for Climate. So he attended in New Delhi. Okay. So this dialogue is a part of India-US Climate and Clean Energy Agenda 2030. Okay. And also the one more agenda of this project is a strategic clean energy partnership. Okay. So this climate action financial mobilization dialogue, they will demonstrate how the world can align shift climate action with inclusive and resilient economic development. Okay. So that is the main objective of this program. So USA capital Washington DC, currency dollar. Okay. So remember. Next, this is very important question. First ever in-person Quad Leader Summit is scheduled to be held in which country in September 2021? So Quad Summit is going to be held in which country? The answer is United States. So Prime Minister Modi is going to attend this first ever in-person Quad Summit, which will be held in White House in Washington DC on September 24th. So Quad nations are India, Japan, USA and Australia. So PM Modi will also address the United Nations General Assembly in New York in September 25th. Okay. So this is the first meeting of PM Modi to United States since Joe Biden assumed office, and also first in-person meeting between the two leaders since Biden assumed the office. So other leaders who are going to participate in this Quad Summit are Prime Minister Scott Morrison of Australia and Japan Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga. Okay, so both of them are going to participate. So this is the first ever summit of Quad leaders which was held virtually in March 2021. It is now the first in-person meeting. So what is Quad? What is the main objective of Quad? Quad is mainly to deepen ties and increase cooperation in combating COVID, addressing the climate crisis, partnering on emerging technologies in cyberspace, and promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific. Okay. So Quad was established in 2007. It is called the Asian or Mini NATO. Okay. So Asian NATO or Mini NATO. So it is mainly to counterbalance the Chinese military and economic clout in the Indo-Pacific region, mainly to counter China. So remember the static points: Australia capital Canberra, currency dollar; US capital Washington, currency dollar; Japan capital Tokyo, currency yen. Okay, remember these points. Very important. Now we'll see next question. India declared to institutionalize the regular defense dialogue with which regions on the sidelines of the biennial Defense Expo military exhibition. So India is planning to institutionalize, regularize the defense dialogue with which region? The answer is Africa. So with Africa, so India wants to have every year they want to have this defense ministers conclave. So government of India, they propose to institutionalize the India-Africa Defence Dialogue as a regular event to be held on the sidelines of the biennial Defence Expo military exhibition. So first meeting, the first India-Africa Defence Ministers Conclave was held in February 2020 in Lucknow. Okay, so second meeting, it is going to be held in Gandhinagar in Gujarat in March 2022. And the theme for this meeting is India-Africa adopting strategy for synergizing and strengthening defence and security cooperation. So Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, he will host the defence ministers of African nations at the upcoming India-Africa Defence Dialogue. So mainly this will help to strengthen and also existing partnership with the African countries and explore new areas of convergence for mutual engagements, including capacity building, training, cyber security, maritime security and counter-terrorism. Okay, so the Manohar Parkar Institute of Defence Study and Analysis in New Delhi, they are the knowledge partner for this India-Africa Defence Dialogue. So they will assist in providing necessary support to the enhanced defence cooperation between the two countries. Okay, so please remember these points. So the last question in this section. So Government of India will host first ever Global Buddhist Conference in November 2021 in which state? So Global Buddhist Conference will be held in which state? The answer is Bihar. Obviously it is Bihar. Okay. So India is going to host the first ever Global Buddhist Conference on November 19 and 20 in the Navanalanda Mahavira campus in Nalanda, Bihar. So this conference will be organized by the Indian Council of Cultural Relations. Okay. So which will be an annual feature. So Bihar's Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Governor Fagu Chauhan. So please remember, very, very important. So total 4 regional conferences will be held in India. In India, they will be held in Telangana, Sarnath, Gangtok and Dharamshala. And abroad, they will be held in Japan, South Korea, Thailand, Cambodia. Okay. So as a runner-up to this conference, 4 regional conferences and 4 international conferences will be held. Okay. And the reports of the regional conferences will be presented in the inaugural Global Buddhist Conference. Okay. So this Global Buddhist Conference is mainly to focus India as the center of Buddhism, to promote Buddhist activities like academic, cultural seminars. Okay. So and people traveling for festivals like the Buddha Purnima and Vesak. Okay. As a part of this event, an award will be provided for promotion of Buddhist studies. So mainly this award will be given on November 21st by PM Modi in New Delhi, which will carry a cash award of nearly $20,000, a plaque and a gold plated medallion. So these are all the details about the Global Buddhist Conference. So remember. Okay. So next question in this section. So the 2021 meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Council of Heads of States was held in which place? Shanghai Cooperation Organization Council of Heads of State was held in which place? The answer is Dushanbe. So in Dushanbe, Tajikistan, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization 21st meeting was held in hybrid format. Okay. So this meeting was held under the chairmanship of the President of Tajikistan, Emomali Rahman. So Emomali Rahman under the presidentship. So this particular meeting was held in hybrid format. Okay. So the first meeting was, this was the first meeting which was held in hybrid format, and 4th meeting in which India participated as a full-fledged member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So Indian delegation was led by PM Modi, and PM Modi participated by video link, and in Dushanbe, India was represented by the External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar. Okay. So PM Modi expressed India's support for a central role in the current situation, regarding the current situation in Afghanistan. The leaders reviewed the organization activities over the past 2 decades and discussed the future, about the future cooperation. Okay. So along with this summit, an outreach session on Afghanistan happened between the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the Collective Security Treaty Organization. So let us discuss about Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is a permanent intergovernmental international organization. It's a Eurasian political, economic and military organization aimed at maintaining peace, security and stability in the region. Created in 2001 and their official languages are Russian and Chinese. So prior to this Shanghai Cooperation Organization in 2001, Kazakhstan, China, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan were the members of the Shanghai Five. Later Uzbekistan joined, then India, Pakistan joined in 2017, and the new member is now Iran. Iran is the new member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So remember these points. Okay. So same question related to Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Who was the representative of India in person at the 21st meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization? The answer is Jaishankar. So Jaishankar is the representative of India in person at the 21st meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Okay. So please remember all these points. So now we'll see awards. Okay. We'll see the important awards. We have 6 important awards in this section. Okay. Let us see. So first one, author Susanna Clarke. She won the Women Prize for Fiction 2021. So for which book she won the prize, the Women's Prize for Fiction 2021? The answer is Piranesi. So for the book Piranesi, she won the prize, Women's Prize for Fiction 2021. Okay. So just a minute. Okay. So author Susanna Clarke, she won the Women's Prize for Fiction 2021 for which of the following book? The answer is Piranesi. Okay. So for the book she won the prize. Okay. So this Women Prize for Fiction is one of the UK's most prestigious literacy prize, which was first awarded in 1996. So this is given mainly to female author of any nationality for the best original full-length novel which is written in English and published in UK in the preceding year. So please remember. So next question, who has been awarded the Africa Food Prize 2021? So Africa Food Prize 2021 went to ICRISAT. Okay. So this ICRISAT is the International Crops Research Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics. So it is present in Hyderabad. So they were given the Africa Food Prize for improving the food security in the sub-Saharan Africa. So the project of the ICRISAT, Tropical Legumes Project. So they developed nearly 266 varieties of the improved legumes and 500,000 tons of seeds for range of legume crops. Okay, including the pigeon pea, cowpea, chickpea, common bean, groundnut, soya bean. All these legumes were developed in Africa. So that is why they were given this award, Africa Food Prize Award. So this seeds nearly benefited 25 million farmers in the climate resilient approach to control mainly pest outbreak in the region. So ICRISAT is a non-profit, non-political, public international research institute, mainly which will conduct agriculture research for development in Asia and the sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, so it is established in 1972, headquartered in Hyderabad. Okay, next question. Anand Kumar was conferred with Swami Brahmanand Award 2021. So for his contribution in which field? The answer is education. So in the field of education, Anand Kumar was given the award. So you know him, very famous mathematician Anand Kumar is very famous for his initiative called Super 30. So that is why he was given the Swami Brahmanand Award for his contribution in the field of education through his initiative called Super 30 that prepares unprivileged students for IIT entrance exam. So the Super 30 is a program of Kumar's Patna based Ramanujan School of Mathematics. So he hunts for 30 meritorious students from economically backward sections and shapes them to clear the exam and to enter into prestigious IITs in the country. So this Brahmanand Award carries nearly 10,000 in cash, bronze medal and a bronze statue of Swami Brahmanand, and a certificate is given every year to people who have done special work in education sector and for the welfare of cows. Okay. So this award was instituted in the name of Swami Brahmanand, who is a freedom fighter, former MP and is saint known for his sacrifices and his contributions in the field of education. So the first award it was given in 2019 for cow protection, and it was given to Frederick Arena Bruning. So he was given the award in 2019, and 2020 it was given to Arun Kumar Pandey In 2020 given to Arun Kumar Pandey, and 2021 it is given to Anand Kumar. Okay, remember all these points. So next question, National Florence Nightingale Award 2021 was given for which of the following? National Florence Nightingale Award 2021 was given to Bhanumati Ghiwala. So Bhanumati Ghiwala, who is working as a nurse in Sir Sayaji Rao General Hospital, Gujarat, she was given the award. She was the in charge of currently the COVID-19 positive pregnant deliveries and also infant care. In 2019, when the entire hospital was flooded with water, so even though in those circumstances also, she carried her duty in the gynecology department and the pediatric ward. So that is why for her relentless service, she was given the National Florence Nightingale Award. So this award was given by the Indian Nursing Council, a statutory agency under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It is presented to nurses or nursing workers, mainly for their exceptional courage and devotion towards the work, towards the victims, okay, towards the patients. Okay, so next question, UNESCO King Seong Literacy Prize was established in 1989 with the support of which government? UNESCO King Seong Literacy Prize is established with the support of South Korea. Okay, so National Institute of Open Schooling, so they were given this UNESCO award for innovative approach towards education. Mainly they are recognized for educating differently able people through technology enabled inclusive learning material. So the National Institute of Open Schooling, they focused mainly on Indian sign language based content. So that is why they were given this award. So jury recognized the value of providing for unique education and language needs of these persons with disability learners by developing teaching content in sign language through digital mode. So award will focus on use of digital tools and local language to help persons with disabilities the option to access the Indian sign language based content. Okay, so this UNESCO King Seong Literacy Award is an annual award awarded to institutions, organizations or individuals for their contribution to fight against illiteracy. So it is funded by Republic of Korea, which is South Korea, and first it was awarded in 1989. Okay, honoring the outstanding contribution of literacy, contribution to literacy by Seong the Great, who created the Korean alphabet Hangul. Okay, so please remember. So UNESCO headquarters Paris, established in 1945. So last question, who was named the 2021 International Young Hero for Environmental Achievements? Who was named the 2021 Young Hero for Environmental Achievements? So the answer is Ayan Shanta. So Ayan Shanta was awarded the International Young Eco Hero for his environmental achievements 2021. So this 12-year-old environmental activist from Mumbai, so he was given this award. So he won the third prize under the age group of 8 to 14 years for his project called Conservation and Rehabilitation of the Powai Lake, and he is one of the 25 global winners of this Young Eco Hero Award 2021. So since 2003, Action for Nature, a US-based non-profit organization, which is recognizing and rewarding young people who are taking action to solve world tough environmental problems. So this Action for Nature, they honor young people mainly in the age group of 8 to 16 years. So all over the globe with the International Young Eco Hero Award for taking up creative environmental projects and personal action for nature to solve the world's most critical environmental problems. Okay, so this project, Conservation and Rehabilitation of Powai Lake, mainly it aims to clean up the lake, protect the ecosystem and raise awareness about pollution. So this project will bring ecological balance in the thickly populated city of Mumbai, and it will also help to conserve the endangered species. So these are all the details about the 2021 International Young Eco Hero Award. So next is business news. We have only single question in this business news. First, India's first euro-denominated green bond has been issued by which company? India's first euro-denominated green bond was issued by which company? The answer is Power Finance Corporation Limited. So leading power sector NBFC, non-banking finance corporation. So leading power sector finance corporation, Power Finance Corporation Limited. So it successfully launched its maiden Euro Green Bond. So Euro Green Bond is first ever Euro denominated green bond issued from India, and also it's the first ever Euro bond issued by an Indian NBFC. Okay, So with this issue, the Power Finance Corporation, it forayed into the European market for its international fundraising. So this is established in Delhi. Power Finance Corporation established in Delhi and headquartered in Delhi and established in 1986. So remember these points. Now quickly we'll see banking news, very important. So RBI has launched the third cohort under regulatory sandbox. What is the theme of the third cohort? The theme of the third cohort is MSME lending. The theme of the third cohort is MSME lending. So applications for this third cohort will launch from October 1st to November 14th. So regulatory sandbox refers to live testing of new products or services in controlled test regulatory environment. So for which regulators may permit certain regulatory relaxations for limited purpose of testing. Okay, suppose companies want to test their new products. So RBI will give some relaxations to these new products. Okay, so that is why RBI is providing this regulatory sandbox system where this third cohort is mainly for MSME lending. So any products related to MSME, now you can test it with the relaxation from RBI. So first cohort was launched in December 2020 with the theme of retail payments. 6 entities they competed for testing. Second cohort was launched in December 2020 with the theme of cross-border payments. 8 entities they tested their products. Now this third cohort will be launched in October 2021 with the theme of MSME lending. So remember, very important, this is very important, and you know these details. RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das, headquarters Mumbai, established 1935. Next, India's first FASTag based metro parking facility launched in which city? India's first FASTag based metro parking facility was launched in which city? The answer is New Delhi. So Paytm Payment Bank has launched India's first FASTag based metro parking facility in the Kashmiri Gate metro station in the collaboration with the DMRC, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. So Paytm Payment Bank will be the acquiring bank, will facilitate processing of all FASTag based transactions for all the cars having valid FASTag sticker, thus eliminating the hassle of stopping and paying cash at the counters. Okay, so this parking facility first to accept payment via UPI, and it has been launched for 2-wheelers earlier. Now it is launched for 4-wheelers. So Paytm Payment Bank will digitize all the parking facilities across the country, and first being is the Kashmiri Gate station. Kashmiri Gate metro station is first. Later on they will extend it to all other facilities in the country. So Paytm Payment Bank established Noida, headquarters Noida, and established in 2015. The next question. So which of the following bank has launched a real-time online tracking of cross-border payments for its corporate clients in partnership with Shift GPI? So which bank has launched real-time online tracking? The answer is DBS Bank. So DBS Bank has launched real-time online tracking for cross-border payments for its corporate clients in partnership with Shift Global Payments Innovation. So this service can be availed using bank's corporate online banking platform DBS Ideal. So it is the first bank in Asia and India and Asia Pacific to offer this service to corporate clients at no additional cost. So using this tracking service, it will allow the corporate clients to see when a payment on its way and when it is arriving at the beneficiary. It will reduce operational costs and inefficiencies. So this initiative is expected to benefit nearly 4,000 corporates and small business clients in India, Singapore, Hong Kong, China, Taiwan, Indonesia and Vietnam. Okay, so DBS Bank India Limited, headquarters Mumbai, established in 2014. So now we'll see economy news. Okay, so hardly we have just one question in this economy news. So what is the GDP growth rate projection of Indian economy in the calendar year 2021 as per the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development? So what is the GDP growth estimated by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development? The answer is 7.2. So 7.2 is estimated by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development for the year 2021. In 2020 they only estimated 7%, and this year they are estimating it at 7.2%. And China is having the highest growth rate with 8.3%. Next to China, India is having at 7.2% for 2021. Okay, so the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, which was established in 1964, mainly to promote the interests of developing states in the world trade, headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. So we'll see the defense news. We have 5 questions in the defense news. So what is the name given to India's first ever satellite and nuclear missile tracking ship? What is the name of India's first ever satellite and nuclear missile tracking ship? The answer is INS Dhruv. INS Dhruv is India's first nuclear missile tracking ship. So it will be commissioned, it is commissioned in Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. It's a 10,000 ton satellite and ballistic missile tracking ship built by Hindustan Shipyard Limited in collaboration with the DRDO and the National Technology Research Organization. So it is capable of tracking nuclear missiles at a long range, and it will provide early warnings of attacks by ballistic missiles launched from Pakistan and China. Now with this ship, India joins the elite list of countries which are having this particular ships. Earlier, these ships were present in France, USA, UK, Russia and China. Now India also has this particular tracking ship. So next question, Exercise Peaceful Mission 2021. So India is participating in Exercise Peaceful Mission 2021. Which country is hosting this mission? The answer is exercise. The answer is Russia. So Russia is hosting this Exercise Peaceful Mission 2021. So Indian military contingent with 200 personnel are participating in this joint counter-terrorism exercise between the Shanghai Cooperation Organization member states. So this Exercise Peaceful Mission is hosted by Russia in the Orenburg region of southwest Russia between September 13 to 25th. This is the 6th edition. Okay, and the aim of the exercise is to foster close relations between the SCO member states and to enhance the abilities of military leaders to command multinational military contingents. The exercise will enable sharing of best practices between the armed forces of the SCO nations. So they will mainly train in counter-terrorism operations, okay, in the urban scenario with multinational and joint environment. So Shanghai Cooperation Organization, as we discussed earlier, it's a permanent intergovernmental international organization. It's a Eurasian political, economic and military organization aimed to maintain peace, security and stability in the region, established in 2001. Okay, so please remember all these points are very, very important. So the 8th edition of Indian Army Chiefs Conclave was organized in which city? So 8th edition of Indian Army Chiefs Conclave was held in New Delhi. Okay, so it's a 3-day Indian Army Chiefs Conclave, okay, excuse me, which was held in New Delhi between September 16 to 18. So this conclave is a forum of exchange of ideas between the old guard and the current leadership of Indian Army. So it's an exchange of ideas between the old chiefs and the new chiefs. Okay, it will involve discussions on rapid transformation of Indian Army, self-reliance through Atmanirbhar and Make in India initiatives in defense manufacturing, and skilling of Indian soldiers to fight modern wars. So these former army chiefs, they'll pay homage at the National War Memorial, and also they will meet the Olympic medalist mainly from the armed forces, and also they'll interact with the members of Society of Indian Defense Manufacturers. Okay, so these are all the things which happen in this conclave. So next question, who is the head of the committee constituted by Ministry of Defense for comprehensive review of National Cadet Corps? So who is the head of the committee of the comprehensive review of the National Cadet Corps? The answer is Baijayanth Panda. So Baijayanth Panda, former member of parliament, is the chairperson, and this committee was constituted by Ministry of Defense. It's a high level expert committee for comprehensive review of National Cadet Corps, and ironically cricketer MS Dhoni and Mahindra Group chairman Anand Mahindra are also members of this committee. So it's a 15-member committee, and cricketer MS Dhoni and Mahindra Group chairman Anand Mahindra are also part of this committee. Remember, very, very important. Okay, what is the purpose of this committee? Suggest measures to empower NCC cadets, propose ways to gainful engagement of NCC alumni, and recommend best practices for similar international youth organizations for inclusion in the NCC curriculum. So NCC is the largest uniformed organization that aims at developing character, discipline, a secular outlook and ideals of selfless service among the young citizens. It aims to create a pool of organized, trained and motivated youth with leadership qualities in all walks of life. Established in 1948, headquarters is in New Delhi, remember. Okay, so Surya Kiran exercise is a joint military exercise between Indian Army and which of the following country? Surya Kiran is an exercise between Indian Army and which of the following army? The answer is Nepal. So the 15th edition of Surya Kiran Indo-Nepal Joint Military Exercise was held in September 20 in the Pithoragarh in Uttarakhand, Pithoragarh district in Uttarakhand. So previous edition was held in Nepal in 2019. 2020 it was called off due to COVID-19 pandemic. So Indian Navy and Indian Army and Nepali Army, both of them will share their experiences in the counter-insurgency operations and familiarize themselves with weapons, equipment, tactics and techniques, mainly in the mountain region. So to utilize in the mountain region. So this will improve the bilateral relations and strengthen the traditional friendship between the two nations. So Nepal capital Kathmandu, currency Nepalese rupee. Remember these points. Okay. So now we'll see questions in ranks and reports. We have two questions in ranks and reports. So Time magazine unveiled its annual list of 100 most influential people of 2021. Which of the following Indian is in the list? Time magazine has released 100 most influential people of 2021. Which of the following Indian is in the list? The answer is Mamata Banerjee. The answer is Mamata Banerjee. So Time has released the list. It is divided generally into 6 categories: icons, pioneers, titans, artists, leaders and innovators. So Time is an American news magazine and a news website, first published in 1923, based in New York City. So they provide this 100 most influential people list. And who are the Indians in the list? PM Modi, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and Serum Institute CEO Adar Poonawalla. So see, these 3 are the Indians on the list. And the global list has US President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Chinese President Xi Jinping, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Princess Meghan, former US President Donald Trump and Taliban co-founder Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar. So these are the persons in the global list. So try to remember the global list as well as the Indians list. These are the other persons on the list. You can try to remember. Okay, just look at this entire this slide. Okay. So next question, last question in this section. This report titled Reforms in Urban Planning Capacity in India was released by which organization? Reforms in Urban Planning Capacity is released by Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog has launched this reforms in urban planning capacity in India. So mainly measures to ramp up urban planning capacity in the country. Okay, so this report was released by Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Rajiv Kumar, CEO Amitabh Kant and Special Secretary K. Rajeshwar Rao. So the report made several recommendations that can unblock bottlenecks in the value chain of urban planning. So they also provided planning of health, re-engineering of urban governance, revision of town and country planning acts. Okay. So the report also suggested every city must aspire to be healthy city for all by 2030. And they also recommended a central sector scheme named 500 Healthy Cities program for a period of 5 years. Okay. So this is all the things in the report. Please remember these points. Niti Aayog established 2015, headquartered Delhi, Chairperson Narendra Modi, Vice Chairperson Rajiv Kumar, CEO Amitabh Kant. Please remember these points. Very, very important. Okay, now we'll see science and technology news. We have 3 questions in the science and technology news. First question, who among these space tech startups have become the first private company to formally sign an agreement with ISRO for its expertise and facilities? So which startup has signed with ISRO? The answer is Skyroot Aerospace. So Skyroot Aerospace, it's a Hyderabad based startup, space technology startup. It's the first private company to formally enter into an agreement with ISRO. So this MOU, this agreement will help the company to undertake multiple tests and access facilities at various ISRO centers and avail the technical expertise of the ISRO scientists. So this Skyroot Aerospace, it is formed by former ISRO scientists. They built a Vikram series of rockets to carry small satellites into space. So the first launch vehicle in the series is Vikram 1, which is scheduled to be launched in 2022. Earlier, they testified successfully their rocket named Kalam 5. Okay. So ISRO chairman K. Shivan, headquarters Bengaluru, established 1969. Skyroot Aerospace established 2018, headquarters is in Hyderabad. Next question, artificial intelligence based language translation software project Udan was launched by which institute? So artificial intelligence based language translator software project Udan was launched by which institute, which IIT? The answer is IIT Bombay. So IIT Bombay has launched project Udan, a language translator to break the language barrier in education, which generally hampers the flow of messages. So this project Udan, it's a donation based project. So it can translate scientific and technical content from English to Hindi and all other Indian languages. So Project Udaan, it's an AI based translation software ecosystem. Okay, it will translate engineering textbooks, learning materials and all other streams of higher learning into desired language in 1/6 of the time taken by linguistic experts. Okay, that is the Project Udaan, objective of Project Udaan. Last question, Equinox is a suite of solutions launched by which company? So Equinox is a suite of solutions launched by Infosys. So Infosys is a global leader in the digital services and consulting. They launched Infosys Equinox, so which will help enterprises securely deliver hyper segmented, personalized, omni-channel consumer experiences, commerce experience for business to business, business to customer buyers. Okay, so this platform's future ready architecture, they'll offer flexibility for enterprises to pick and choose out of box microservices and pre-built experiences to build curated digital journeys that enhance their digital commerce or launch its ground up in the matter of weeks. So this Infosys Equinox, it also brings together a best of breed service, product platforms and industry capabilities from Infosys and its partners in integrated ecosystem. Okay, so they will help transform their digital commerce. Okay, they are providing 4 offerings now: Infosys Equinox Microservice, Equinox Commerce, Equinox Experiences and Equinox Marketing. So Infosys established in 1981, headquartered in Bengaluru. Okay, remember these points. It is quite tricky, but please remember Equinox launched by Infosys. It's a suite of solutions. So quickly we'll see all the books and authors. So quickly we'll see all the books and authors. We have only 2 books. So Human Rights and Terrorism in India. So this book is authored by Subramanya Swamy. So Human Rights and Terrorism in India is authored by Subramanya Swamy. Okay. So Translating Myself and Others is a book authored by Jhumpa Lahiri. So Translating Myself and Others is a book authored by Jhumpa Lahiri. So now we will see sports news. We have a lot of sports news this week. Okay. So 10 questions. We will see all the 10 questions. Name the winner of Italian Grand Prix 2021. So the winner of Italian Grand Prix 2021 is Daniel Ricciardo. So Daniel Ricciardo of McLaren is the winner of Italian Grand Prix 2021. So this is the first victory for McLaren in 9 years. Italian Grand Prix is the 5th oldest national Grand Prix which is held since 1921. So Daniel Ricciardo of McLaren, he won the F1 Italian Grand Prix title 2021 which was held in the Monza track, Italy. Okay. So Lando Norris of McLaren came 2nd and Valtteri Bottas of Mercedes came 3rd. So remember. Next, which player won the 2021 US Open men's single title? So US Open men's single title was won by Daniil Medvedev. So Daniil Medvedev won the US Open men's single title. So he defeated Novak Djokovic and he won the first title, first Grand Slam title. Okay, so please remember Daniil Medvedev. Okay, in women's category it is Emma Raducanu. So Emma Raducanu won in the women's category by defeating Annie Fernandez. Emma Raducanu won the women's title. Okay, so please this is the entire table. You can remember the table: men's, women's singles, men's, women's doubles and mixed doubles. Please remember the table. So next question, again belong to US Open. Women's single, who won the women's single? You know the answer, Emma Raducanu. Emma Raducanu won the women's single. Okay. So next, who is the first professional golfer in the world to receive 10-year Dubai Golden Visa? So 10-year Dubai Golden Visa was given to Jeev Milkha Singh. So Jeev Milkha Singh is a star Indian golfer. He is the first professional golfer in the world to receive this 10-year Dubai Golden Visa for recognition of his outstanding achievements in this sport. Okay. So other sportsmen who won this, who were granted this golden visas were footballers like Cristiano Ronaldo, tennis players like Novak Djokovic, Sania Mirza, and cricketers like Shoaib Malik, and Bollywood stars like Shah Rukh Khan and Sanjay Dutt. So all were given this 10-year golden visa. Okay. So Jeev Milkha Singh is a winner of 4 titles on European Tour, 4 on Japan Golf Tour, 6 on Asian Tour. He received this 10-year gold card as for being an elite professional athlete. So UAE capital Abu Dhabi, UAE currency UAE dirham. Okay, remember. Next, who will be the mentor for Indian national team for T20 World Cup 2021? Who is the mentor? You know the answer, very easy, it is MS Dhoni. So BCCI announced former skipper of India, MS Dhoni, to mentor the team for the tournament, which will be played in United Arab Emirates and Oman in October and November. So Dhoni last played for India in the 2019 ICC World Cup against in the semi-final against New Zealand. So Dhoni led Chennai Super Kings, which is a 3-time IPL winning captain, and also brought home 3 major ICC trophies, the World T20, Champions Trophy and World Cup. Okay, so he is now the mentor of Indian cricket team. So BCCI President Sourav Ganguly, Secretary Jai Shah, headquarters Mumbai, established in 1928. Remember these points. So next is very important question. Which country was suspended from the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics by the International Olympic Committee? Which country was suspended? The answer is North Korea. So in the recently held Olympics in Japan, Tokyo, so North Korea, it failed to send a team, it refused to send a team. So that is why the International Olympic Committee, it gave a punishment for North Korea. So North Korea was formally suspended from the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. So here is the list of venues: 2022 in Beijing, and in 2026 in Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo in Italy. So in Italy in 2026, China 2022 Winter Olympics will be held. Okay, so International Olympic Committee is a governing body of national Olympic committees as well as worldwide Olympic movement. So it is formed in 1894, headquartered in Lausanne, Switzerland, and president is Thomas Bach, current president Thomas Bach. Remember, very important. Okay, next, who was given the ICC Men's Player of the Month for August? So who is the ICC Men's Player of the Month for August? The answer is Joe Root. So Joe Root of England Test captain Joe Root was given the award ICC Player of the Month for August, and Emma Richardson was given the ICC Women Player of the Year of the Month August 2021. Okay, so Joe Root, he made a lot of good performances in the Test series against India. So that is why he was made the Player of the Month August. Okay, so for from women's side, it is Emma Richardson, who is the player from Ireland. So she was given the Player of the Month for August. She played very well in the European qualifier against Germany. So that is why she was given the award. So ICC established 1909, headquarters Dubai, chairman is Greg Barclay, CEO, acting CEO is Jeff Aldrich. So remember these points. So next question, same question. ICC Women Player for the month of August. You know the answer. Emma Richardson, ICC Player of Women Player for the month August. Men player Joe Root. Okay, remember, very important all these points. So next, Braden Tyler, he announced retirement from international cricket. He belongs to which country? So Braden Tyler, he announced retirement from international cricket. He belongs to which country? The answer is Zimbabwe. So Zimbabwe captain, former Zimbabwe captain, wicket-keeper, batsman. So Brendan Tyler, he announced his retirement after playing the third final ODI against Ireland. So he made his debut in 2004 against Sri Lanka. He scored nearly 6,677 runs from 204 ODI matches in his 17-year ODI career. So Lasith Malinga, so he announced retirement. So he belongs to which country? Lasith Malinga belongs to Sri Lanka. You know, very famous Sri Lankan pacer Lasith Malinga. He retired from T20 after 295 matches where he picked 390 wickets. He already announced retirement for Test in 2011, ODS in 2019, and for franchise cricket he announced in January after playing for Mumbai Indians. Now from all forms of cricket he announced retirement. So Lasith Malinga announced his retirement. He belongs to Sri Lanka. Okay, so Lasith Malinga, first bowler to bag 100 T20 wickets, in one of the best T20 bowlers, and he represented in IPL, Big Bash League, Caribbean Premier League, other franchise tournaments. He is part of the 4 of the 5 IPL championships wins with Mumbai Indians, but opted out of the 2020 tournament. So these are all the things about Lasith Malinga. Okay, so do remember all these points. So quickly we'll see all the days. Okay, 13 questions we have in this section. Quickly we'll see all the days. Very important. So United Nations Day for South-South Cooperation was held on 12th September. So United Nations Day for South-South Cooperation is held on 12th September. Next question, World First Aid Day is observed globally on World First Aid Day is observed globally on second Saturday of September. So second Saturday of September, that is this year in September 11th, World First Aid Day is observed, and the theme for this year is First Aid and Road Safety. First Aid and Road Safety. Remember the day, remember the theme, very very important. Hindi Divas or Hindi Day is observed every year on 14th September. Hindi Day or Hindi Divas is observed every year on 14th September. Next, International Day for Democracy. International Day for Democracy is observed on 15th September. International Day of Democracy is observed on 15th September, and the theme is strengthening democratic resilience in the face of future crisis. Okay. National Engineers Day is celebrated on 15th September. The National Engineers Day is celebrated to mark the birth anniversary of engineering pioneer of India, Mokshanakundam Visvesvaraya. He is commonly called as Sir MV. Okay, he is awarded the Bharat Ratna and also British knighthood. He served as the Diwan of Mysore and he is regarded as the father of modern Mysore. Okay, so National Engineers Day 15th September. And World Lymphoma Awareness Day is observed on 15th September. 15th September, very very important, lot of important days on 15th September. Okay, so lymphoma is a cancer of lymphatic system which is a part of the body's germ fighting network. So lymphatic system means nothing but the lymph nodes, spleen, thymus gland and bone marrow. So this lymphoma cancer will affect all these lymphatic system. Okay, International Day for Preservation of Ozone Layer or World Ozone Day is observed on 16th September. World Ozone Day is observed on 16th September, and the theme for this year is Montreal Protocol, keeping us our food and vaccine school. Montreal Protocol, keeping us our food and vaccine school. Okay, so what is the theme? Same, related to the World Ozone Day. What is the theme? Montreal Protocol, keeping us our food and vaccine school. So that is the theme. Next question. World Patient Safety Day is observed on 17th September. World Patient Safety Day is observed on 17th September, and the theme is Safe Maternal and Newborn Care. And the theme for this year is Safe Maternal and Newborn Care. Same question. What is the theme for World Patient Safety Day? The answer is Safe Maternal and Newborn Care. Okay. So next question. World Bamboo Day is observed on. World Bamboo Day is observed on 18th September. World Bamboo Day is observed on 18th September, and the theme is, this year theme is Plant Bamboo. It is time to plant bamboo. Plant bamboo. Hashtag plant bamboo. It is time to plant bamboo. So World Bamboo Day 18th September. Okay. What is the theme of International Coastal Cleanup Day 2021? What is the theme of International Coastal Cleanup Day 2021? Keep trash in bin, not in ocean. Keep trash in bin and not in ocean. So every third Saturday in September will be held as the International Coastal Cleanup Day, and this year it is 18th September, and the theme for this year is Keep Trash in Bin and Not in Ocean. Okay, International Coastal Cleanup Day 18th September. So International Red Panda Day is marked on. International Red Panda Day is marked on 3rd Saturday of September. 3rd Saturday of September, and this year it is 18th September. Is observed as International Red Panda Day. Okay. Okay. Last question. International Equal Pay Day. International Equal Pay Day is observed again on 18th September. International Equal Pay Day is observed on 18th September, and the inaugural edition was launched in last year 2020. This year is the second edition. International Equal Pay Day 18th September. Okay. So now we will see obituaries. Okay. We have 3 important questions. So Oscar Fernandez, he passed away recently. He is which of the following personality? It belongs to which fields? He is a famous politician. So Oscar Fernandez, former Union Minister, Rajya Sabha MP. So he worked as a Union Transport Minister, Labour Minister in the Manmohan Singh government. So he passed away recently. He is also a trained Kuchipudi dancer. Okay. So he passed away. So please remember Oscar Fernandez, he is a politician. So Aziz Hazini, he passed away recently. He is a famous writer. Aziz Hazini, famous noted writer and former secretary of the Jammu and Kashmir Academy of Art, Culture and Languages. So he passed away recently. Okay, he was born in Bandipora, Kashmir. So he wrote nearly 20 books in Kashmiri, and also he was given the Sahitya Academy Award and Sahitya Academy Translation Award for all his works. So Aziz Hazini, noted writer, Kashmiri writer, he passed away recently. So last question in this section. Yuri Siddiq, he passed away recently. He's a renowned, which of the following? He's a renowned athlete. He's an Olympic gold medal winner athlete. So Yuri Siddiq, a double Olympic hammer throw gold medalist. He is an Ukrainian track and field athlete who represented Soviet Union till 1991. He passed away recently. So there is a world record on him for hammer throw of 86.7 meters, which is still today unbroken record. So he won his first gold in 1976 Olympics, second gold in 1980 Olympics. So he passed away recently. So now we will see miscellaneous news. We have 3 important questions here. So PM Modi has laid foundation stone for Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh State University in which of the following city? Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh State University was inaugurated in Aligarh. So foundation stone was laid in Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh. So this university is established by UP government in honor of the noted Jat figure Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh. He is a great freedom fighter, he is an educationalist, he is a social reformer. Okay. So in the area of nearly 92 acres in the Lodha village and Musipur village in the Kol Tehsil in Aligarh, so this particular university will be developed by the state, which will provide affiliation to 395 colleges of the Aligarh division. So UP CM Yogi Adityanath, UP Governor Anandabhen Patel, remember. Next question, India's first CO2 capture plant which extracts CO2 directly from blast furnace gas has been launched by which company? So it was launched by Tata Steel. First CO2 capture plant was launched by Tata Steel in India. Okay. So first carbon capture plant that extracts CO2 directly from blast furnace gas is launched at Jamshedpur. Okay. So it is the country's first steel company to adopt a carbon capture technology. So it will capture nearly 5 tons of CO2 per day. Okay. So very good initiative. So this captured CO2 will be reused on site to provide a circular carbon economy. Okay. So this carbon capture utilization facility uses amine based technology. So depleted CO2 gas is sent back to the gas network with increased calorific value. So this particular project is developed with the support of Carbon Clean, a global leader in low cost CO2 capture technology. So Tata Steel established 1907, headquarters is in Mumbai. So last question, which company recently announced that it would stop producing cars in India? So the answer is Ford. Ford announced that it is it would stop producing cars in India and to leave India. Okay. So Ford Motor Company, it announced that it is stopping producing cars in India as the global auto industry continues to grapple with shortfall in semiconductors and other components due to supply chain disruptions. Ford will shut down its assembly plant in Gujarat and vehicle and engine manufacturing plants in Chennai in the second quarter of the next year. So earlier, General Motors left India and Harley Davidson, both were American companies. They left India. Now Ford is the third and the latest US car manufacturer to leave India. Ford Motor established in 1903 and headquartered in Dearborn, Michigan, USA. So these are about the details about Ford. Okay. So these are all the week 3 current affairs. Okay. So please subscribe our YouTube channel, like and share our videos, join our Telegram channel and download the Career Power Hyderabad app. We'll provide the links in the description as well as comment section. So thank you students, we'll meet in the next session.